As soon as you do that, then you have a bad experience, you say,
I don't want to do this.
Yeah. You know, I do.
Well, I really have decided, Jackie, what I'm going to do
Have in their
next
fees
year.
and quit.
Yeah.
When John and the rest of you guys all
Leave
come
the
up
snow out.
everybody
It's
wants.
so fun.
Hi,
Dennis, just got ready to tell a story. Go give me a hug.
Oh, I'm going to go get on that train. And then they're going to come with a 10 minutes.
You know, Dennis, sit right over there next to the lamp. Yeah, move over just next to the lamp. Can you get a little closer to that lamp?
Let me cut this. I have these quick questions I have to answer.
are you sure you're not picking up just the light of the lamp?
No, okay, that's good.
Do you want to hold this and walk this around to the big people and ask them if they want one? Hold it like this. I'm going to take it to all the people.
Is that light that sensitive? You can pick it
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
Okay, take it to Dan.
All right.
There's some apples. Stick it out.
Thank you very much. I need that.
Oh, good. Okay. Ooh, that looks so good, Lacey. Don't skip me.
She's going to pass through.
Okay, we on?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, over here.
That is a good apple.
Well, I learned to ski back in high school
Does it pull out?
down in Southern California. Didn't have very many interesting experiences until later on in life, in the ski world. Judy and I, after we were married, we had 2 years at BYU, and that's where we skied a lot together and had wonderful experiences. But then when I graduated and came down to California, started raising a family, we hadn't skied for what, 4 or 5 years, quite a while. And in my sales business, I had an account up in Sacramento, and I happened to tell my dad I need to call him during the winter time because I'd always wanted to ski Squaw Valley. Okay, now that's where. What year Olympics was that?
I don't know, that's one of them.
Okay. 76.
Yeah.
No. 76?
You were married in 64. Well, no, it was after that.
No, Squaw Valley.
72?
Anyway, the Olympics had been held at Squaw Valley. And I wanted to go where the Olympics had been, so that I could say, I skied Squaw Valley. So on Friday night, I left Sacramento at about 3 o'clock, and I drove up I'd never been up there before, and found a cheap motel, and all alone. And, you know, it's kind of hard to get too involved when you're alone in a motel. But anyway, I was so excited because I hadn't skied for about 3 or 4 years. And this is my big day, you know, at the ball game. I think I woke up about 4 or 5 times that night, checking to see if the sun had come up, you know, out the window. Finally, I'd just given up. So I turned on the light because I knew I couldn't go back to sleep. I think it was about 5 in the morning or something like that, and I said, well, I don't know how much further Squaw Valley is, but I'm going to get up there, and I'm going to be the first one on that list. So I drove up to Squaw Valley at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm the only car in the parking lot. Sitting there in this big, massive parking lot, the sun just barely beginning to come up, and nobody's moving. There's nothing happening. None of the shops are open, you know. So I sit there and freeze for an hour and a half until something starts moving. Well, I don't know if nobody has skied Squaw Valley yet. So Squaw Valley is quite large, and you go up the chair, and then on the back side they have a lot of chairs that you can choose, and thus you keep coming back up to the top. If you choose to not come down as a face to the lodge, in other words, you can stay up all day long and never come back to the lodge, skiing back chairs. Get the picture? So I picked a particular chair that I kind of became fond of, and I skied all afternoon back on this back chair. Had a lovely afternoon. And I finally said, well, I'll make one more run. That's, you know, one more run means that you go back down, and then I had to come back with the chair to the top. So I still had all the way down to the lodge yet to go, okay? That's a key point of the story, so you remember. I'm making this little trip, ski trip down the hill, feeling really good and great. getting a little tired though, and I caught one of those edges. Now, Jackie, do you know what catching an edge means? You figured that one out? You see, that's what skiers use to define falling. You catch an edge, right? Not the skier's fault, you catch an edge. So I caught one of those edges and I fell so hard that my safety straps, now in those days, see, the equipment that I have, you have to appreciate the equipment. The wooden skis, old lace-up boots, the original BYU package is what I'm skiing on. And you have a safety strap. You don't have these brakes that they have now. You have a safety strap, like Allison had. See, like that? Okay, so I fell so hard that this ski, one of the skis goes, and I'm lying there on the side of this mountain, just kind of watching the ski go over the ridge and out of sight. So I said, well, okay, now I've got to go down and find that blasted ski because my safety straps had broken. Well, okay, you can imagine, once again, because we've kind of talked about skiing on one ski and how much fun that is. That other leg trying to keep up with it. So I'm fighting this hill going down there. And I get down to where I lost sight of this ski, and there's this little group of trees there, just kind of half pint-sized pine trees that I look at, and then there's down below it there's this big group of trees. And so I said, well, it must be down there. So I go down the second group of trees, and I look, and I can't find it. Beyond this group of trees, though, is this great big valley. I mean, it just goes forever and ever and ever and ever. Hit the pictures. In other words, the ski, I thought, went all the way down the mountain because I couldn't find it. And in this massive valley. So I go all the way down to the bottom of this hill, and I say to the attendant there at the chairlift, at the bottom of the chairlift, I said, did you see a runaway ski? He said, no. And so I look at this I mean, I'm talking about acres of nothing but just snow. And here I am now with one ski, which keeps me up, and one leg that puts me down into the snow. So I'm walking along, going into the snow, you know, and bringing this thing up, going all cross country in this valley looking for my blasted ski. And I never found it. Now, I was sinking into snow up to my waist, okay, with this one leg, while the other one stayed up here. And this poor attendant, I caught him several times, just kind of, well, you know, you could just see him saying in his mind, what is that guy doing out there? I finally got so tired that I gave up. And I said in my mind, that justifies a new pair of skis. And when that thought went through my mind, I quickly turned around and got back on that chair. And I'm going up to the top, all excited, first of all, that I'm going to get a new pair of skis, and I'm going to go to Judy and say, I lost my ski. I need a new pair of skis. But as I'm going to the top, I say to myself, I've got to go all the way down to the bottom, to where the lodge is on one ski. I'll never make it. So I said, I've got to find that ski. So now I'm at the top, mulling this over in my mind, and it's getting quite dark and late, and the chairs are going to shut down pretty soon. I quickly go with one ski now from the top down to the midway where I fell. Get the picture? And I said, I'll pick up that track. I got the track of that ski, and there it is. And went right into that first group of little trees right there. I went down there. There's my ski. Okay, I am so relieved, and I'm so exhausted that I take my other ski off, and I put, you know how you take the two skis into the ground? And I just lay there in the snow. I am tired. I mean, I have run the decathlon, whatever. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm exhausted, okay? I've been down this whole mountain, up and down with one ski off for a long period of time. But now I get cold, and I get a little chill, and I say, I better get out of here. I'm in trouble. So I take the ski that I found, put it on my boot, and as I'm going like this, putting on the safety strap of this newfound ski, this other ski is right here. A little wind comes up, and that ski goes boom, down the mountain, way out into that valley. But I've got my ski that I got. I now go down past this little attendant, and he says something because, see, I'm wearing the ski on a new foot, right? He says, "You found your ski." As I go past him, I was so exhausted and so upset and mad that I drove home all the way, I drove all the way home from Squaw Valley that night, got in about 5 or 6 in the morning, the next morning, just madder than all heck that I had that experience. Well, okay, so
Did you ever find the other ski?
oh yeah. No, I had to go, oh yeah, because I saw where it went now, and I had to go all the way out to that valley, back through this, what was the other foot, see now? And got that ski. And the attendant, if you could have seen his eyes, you didn't. All right, well, the next year is a year that, I guess Darren and Laura and Darren are in the family. No, it was a couple years after that, wasn't it? We had Laura, Darren, and Devin. Devin's a baby. We didn't do a lot of skiing those years, did we? No, this is the one. So, Judy and I, we only had a week vacation. We always took in the summer, didn't we? So we didn't do much skiing. But we decided this particular winter that we were going to go take a vacation and go skiing up to Utah. Where the family was. Your parents were up there, weren't they? They had moved from Huntington Park and gone up there and were living up in Provo. So, with a young family like that, I had learned that you do not drive across country with a young family during the day, right? You all know that, parents, don't you?
Oh, good.
So we would take off at after work and travel all night long. And just because of the peace and the tranquility of traveling across those plains and that desert, knowing that those kids are asleep, right? That is the best thing in the whole world. Much, much better than trying to fight them all day long, right, Jim?
Right.
Okay, so I am pulling into Cedar City at about 1 o'clock in the morning, Utah time. And we get off, and I get some gas, and it's just beginning to snow lightly. Now here I am. I have no chains. You know, 1 o'clock in the morning. I've got a young family. They're all asleep in the back of the car, and I'm really quite concerned about the weather up ahead. So I tell the attendant to fill it up with gas, and I go into the service station inside, and I make a phone call to the sheriff's, to the highway patrol. And I say, "How's the weather?" And they say, "If you get it to Beaver, you're okay. It's snowing quite hard at Beaver. But if you get through to Beaver, beyond Beaver, you'll have no. It's clear." Well, I took care of the gas bill inside the station because it was cold outside, right? Walk out, get in that car. Now I have only one thought in my mind, and that is, I've got to get this family to Beaver. And I'm driving along, and Devin is how old?
About 3 months.
About 3 months. And we start to pull into Parowan. Now, in those days, you went through all those little towns. Remember that? You know, the freeway wasn't in existence. Remember those days where you had to travel through all those little towns? We're pulling into Parowan, and Devin starts to cry. Well, I'm a patient dad, and I say, "Judy will take care of the kid." We go a little further, and Devin continues to cry and cry and cry. Now I'm getting a little upset, and I say, "No, she'll wake up and take care of that kid." And as we're pulling into Parowan, I finally, out of disgust, reach around to pat Devin, you know, and I'm saying, mumbling on something in my mind, "Darn it, Judy, you know, can't you take care of that kid?" And, you know, she has no comprehension of my responsibility, does she? I am taking my family to get to Beaver through this snowstorm. And as I'm going through this town, the lights from the town enables me to see into the car. And I turn around, and all I have is Devin and Laura in the car. And I realize that I just left my wife and Darren 40 miles back at the gas station in Cedar City. I shot a U at Parowan, right there in the middle of that town. I shoot a U. And now it's snowing pretty hard, okay? And I'm going through slush and all this, and I've got this thing floorboard, knowing that my wife isn't too happy at this moment. And I'm saying things like, "Oh, don't worry," out loud I'm saying is, don't worry, Judy, I'm coming. I'll be there. Oh, don't worry, Judy. So as I pull into this, back into Cedar City and pull into this gas station, the lights, she's sitting in the station on the floor. You know, there's a big bay window there, and I can see Judy sitting on the floor of that gas station inside the service station. At least it was warm, wasn't it, Judy? And so,
Lucky for you.
you know, I mean, the steam was just coming out of her head. You talk about Matt. Oh, she didn't say a word to me. And this whole thought kind of hit me a little bit humorous. Yes. And as she's getting in the car, I make the mistake of laughing. As if it was all a joke. I mean, now she is real. She is really, oh, I tell you, Judy is really mad. And Darren, how old is Darren?
5.
About 3. Bless his heart. Darren gets in the car and he starts a little whimper. I mean, he's got a little, you know, like he's crying. And he says, now, mind you, we're now, not a word has been said between Judy and I yet. And we're now back calmly onto our road to Beaver with the family intact. And Darren says, Dad, I was sad for you because you were all alone. And I said, would you communicate that to your mother? I don't think she agreed. And she just, oh. Well, you tell your side of the story now.
Oh, well, that's okay. Don't put the camera on me, please. My radio duty. Well, Darren had to go to the bathroom while Dennis was inside, paying for the gasoline and making the telephone call. And so Darren woke up and woke me up and said that he had to go to the bathroom. So I said, okay, let's go on in. So we went into the bathroom, and we were as quick as we could be. But when we came out, there was no car, and I just thought, well, he had pulled out of the way and pulled around to the side. So we walked around the side of the gas station. Well, he's pulled around to the back. So we walked around the back, all the way around. And I finally came back to the attendant, and I said, what happened to that green car that was out here? He said, oh, he left. He's gone. And, you know, he left? But he left me. I didn't have a dime. I didn't have a purse. I didn't have anything. And another man was in filling up. And he says, you need to go call the highway patrol and give him the license plate number, and they'll chase him and they'll stop him and tell him what happened. So I said, I don't have any money. So he pulled out a dime and he says, here, you go ahead. So I did this. I called the highway patrol. And he said, okay, we'll take care of it. And so Darren and I sat down. And for a little while, the highway patrol came to the gas station with his little notepad into the gas station, taking notes now. Okay, now, your name and this and that, and why did he leave you?
How long have you been married? How many children did you have?
So we sit there a little bit longer. He says, oh, we'll see what we can do. Well, by this time, Dennis has discovered his mistake, and he is coming back. And I see him coming into the station now, and all I can see is laughing. Laughing. And we are scared to death. I didn't know anybody in Cedar City, and I've got a little 3-year-old, and he's laughing.
I couldn't help it.
And so from then on, you're right, there wasn't much talking going on. I would have awakened everybody in the town if I would have done much talking. So that's our experience at...
Well, it gets more interesting
yes,
from this point
just
on.
the beginning. Just the beginning.
You have to remember, I still have that original BYU ski package, okay, that I described a little bit earlier to you. The old lace-up boots, you know, and the wooden skis and all that stuff. It's the same skis that I lost at Squaw Valley, that whole experience. Those are mine. I'm still using them. We get up there, and we have a great time telling this story, okay? I mean, we just hoot and holler. The whole family has a great time listening to this story of leaving my wife, my child, in Cedar City. And Sparky calls. Sparky now is Judy's sister's husband, who is, from a skiing standpoint, if Sparky was here, well, you saw nobody ski today or during this whole vacation that would look like Sparky. I mean, he is just that good. Sparky is just a unique, he's one of the best. Just a beautiful skier. So he calls and he says, Dennis, he says, now you came up here to go skiing? That's right, Sparky. He said, well, we've got to go to Alta. Oh, Sparky, he said, I'd love to do that. When can we go? Well, let's go tomorrow. Okay. And I turned to Judy and I said, now, Judy, you know, you have to understand this. Judy was still kind of in the beginning stages of skiing, and I classified myself above that a little bit. And sometimes when you're excited about skiing, the beginner skier can kind of hold you back. And so I told Judy, I said, hon, it's been a long time since I've really had a good skiing experience. Do you mind if we go just to Mingo? Oh, no, she said, that's fine. She says, I've got to recuperate from Cedar City anyway. So off we go, Sparky and I and your brother, Russell. Yeah. Now, we go to Alta. I don't think anybody has skied Alta here other than Rob, Brian, and the Boucher family have all skied there. Alta has got, it's just big country. I mean, and it's the utmost in snow conditions. And so you get really excited about going to Alta. And I hadn't been there for a long time, well, for many years. So we get up there and everything's going great. And our first run down the mountain, we're way back in, I mean, we even hiked to get back where we were. Coming down this mountain and down this trail, and I'm following Sparky, an edge catches. Remember, Jackie, what an edge does? Okay. And I'm lying there, I fell pretty hard, and I'm lying there on my side, and I pick myself up, and there is underneath me a metal plate, this big metal plate that has a funny configuration to it, and I said, of all the stupid things, I'm saying this in my mind, somebody up here has left this metal plate, and I hit it, and I could have killed myself. And I'm just so mad at the thought of this happening. I said, well, I'm going to be sure that nobody else hits this metal plate. And I took this thing and just threw it as far and as hard as I could, way off into the trees. Just got it off the trail, off the snow trail. And I'm now putting my ski back on, and I have the funniest feeling in that I can feel the bottom of my skis through my shoes. And I pick this foot up, and my whole sole is gone from the bottom of my boots, and I've just thrown away part of my ski boot. That metal plate came out of my ski boot, and I've just thrown that into the mountains. And now I've got to go down again this hill on one ski, this time holding one ski because this boot no longer exists, other than just the top half, with a bare foot exposed down here, keeping up with this down to the bottom of Alta. Now at the bottom of Alta, I'm really not at the bottom of Alta, I'm at the bottom of the top of Alta, because we got way back so far. It's called Sugarloaf. I get down there and I meet Sparky, and I see, Sparky always skis in front of you. I mean, you always ski behind Sparky, because he knows that if anybody's going to have something happen to them, it's not going to be Sparky, it's going to be somebody who was with him. And there's no way that Sparky wants to be involved in helping somebody up that mountain. But he will sometimes wait for you, grudgingly, to get down into the mountain and say, what happened? And I come down here and I show him my bare foot on my bottom, and he says, oh, well, I guess that ruined your skiing today. And I said, well, not really. I've always wanted a new pair of skis, Sparky, and now I need a new pair of boots. I'm going to go down to the bottom and rin everything out. And I said, I'll meet you somewhere. Now, I knew that was the best thing to say to Sparky, because you just don't make plans and where you're going to meet Sparky. So I said, oh, he said, okay. I had to flag down one of these tractor drivers. I mean, I'm way up in the mountains, you see, with a bare foot, and it gets kind of cold. There's no way I was going to continue this trek through this mountain down at the bottom. So I flagged down one of these drivers that's got one of these big, what do you call them, the snowcats. Okay. He says, sure, come on in, I'll take you down. Climb in there, warm and comfortable. We go down to the bottom. I walk into that ski lodge with my bare foot and went out new skis, not new, but used skis and boots. And I've got these big head skis. Now, they get these big metal. Now, that was, in those days, the ultimate. I mean, that was the new invention in life for the skier, is that you had to have yourself one of these big, gigantic, 2-ton pairs of metal skis. So I'm walking out, just now all excited. And I walk outside and I'm putting these things on. I don't have any gloves. And it's only about 20 degrees out there today. No gloves. Well, I say, okay. So I'm going back down into the rental shop, trying to find my ski gloves, and they're not to be found. And I get kind of foolish sometimes. And something came through my mind to suggest that the owner of that ski shop had taken my gloves. Now, I don't know why that thought went through my mind, but I stand there toe-to-toe, nose-to-nose with this ski shop owner and say to him, you took my gloves because you want to go into the glove rental business, and that was a good pair of gloves, and I can't ski now today because I don't have a pair of gloves. He just calmly looked at me and said, you're an idiot. And I said, well, I want my money back. You know how you do things in anger, stupid things. I go back up, get my skis, come back down, and get my money back, and sit in the lodge for the rest of the day, waiting for Sparky to come down. Sparky comes down and says, what a beautiful day that was skiing. That snow was so good. And he goes on and on and on. Where were you? I go over the story, and he says, don't worry. He said, you needed a new pair of boots. And he said, I also think you need a new pair of skis. And I said, I think you're right, Sparky. He says, I've got just the place for you. He says, I know a guy by the name of Noel Tanner down in Provo, Utah.
Oh my gosh, of all the people to buy them from.
Noel Tanner will fix you up. He says, I'll get a special deal for you. And he says, by the way, he said, why don't you buy my used boots? I looked at him. Sparky's a pretty good skier. And I said, okay. So we go down to Provo, Utah, and I go over to Noel Tanner's, and he sells me one of these fiberglass skis that are 200 centimeters long, and I think that I'm in just 7 head. But Noel Tanner does not mount bindings. So we have to go to another shop in Provo to get the bindings mounted on my skis. Now I'm all hooked, set up with supposedly a new pair of boots, but they're really Sparky's used boots. But I do have a new pair of skis with new bindings on. And I come home to my wife with these things and I say, honey, you can't imagine what happened to me on the slopes today, but I needed these new skis and boots because blah, 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 I went over the story. Okay, so now, come next morning, what are we going to do? Well, Sparky, he has to go back to work, of course, and it's Ladies' Day for me to take all the women up to Sundance, which was not Sundance then, it was called Haven. Okay. And so I've got Judy's sister, Judy's sister, Jeannie, Judy, and there was a third party that I can't think of.
Was it Lee? No, it was...
There were 3 women. Anyway, and so I'm up there with all these women. See, we're going to Haven. And driving up there, I say to Judy, I say, I'm really quite excited today. I would prefer not to have to be bogged down with the beginner skiers. I'd like to, so I'm building up the story. In other words, I'd like to be on my own and just have a wonderful, beautiful experience skiing. She says, I understand, honey, you just go and do your thing. So off I go, I get on my skis and everything, and I don't wait for the women. I do buy their passes for them and say, here. I'm up that mountain right away, and I go to the top. I start coming down with these new skis and bindings, and things aren't going very well. They don't work very well at all. And I look down at my skis, and my boots are wobbling in these bindings like this. And I say, that's my problem. Mentally, I say this. And in fact, I say, you know, this is quite dangerous up here with these kind of conditions existing. I say, I could get hurt doing this. So I decide that I'm going to take the easiest of easiest ways back down to the lodge where I can get my bindings fixed. And I'm going down this little trail, just at a very slow pace, and darn it, I catch another one of those edges, Jackie. You know what that means, don't you? And down I go on the snow, and off goes a ski. Down that mountain, a runaway ski again. And I'm laying there on the side of it, looking at this ski and saying, this can't be happening for me again. And up skis this little kid. He stops and throws snow in my face, there in the snow, on the ground, and he hands to me, he says, are these yours? And he delivers to me my new set of bindings. And I say, yeah, those are mine. I had just pulled out of my bindings, the bindings out of my ski. I go down and I get that ski, and sure enough, there are 6 holes in that ski where the screws are set, you know, in the ski for the bindings. Now, I'm really mad now. New ski, I still have not skied once down the mountain successfully yet. I go down to the lodge and I call up the guy who set these bindings. Now, this is one of these phones that, you know, you have to crank up like this. You know, you go, you know, you like this, and you get an operator, and I'm saying something like this. This operator says, hello. And I say, I want such and I can't remember the name of the place, but anyway, she puts me through to this place to set these bindings. And I can barely hear him. Just faintly hear him. And I'm yelling at the top of my voice something to follow. I said, hello! And I hear, my name's Dennis Johns! What can I do for you? You set my bindings yesterday, and I'm up here at Sundance. Let's roll. Or Tip Haven. I just stepped out of my bindings, and I've ruined my whole day skiing. Bring him back. What are you going to do about my pass? We'll take care of. I'm satisfied. Hang up the phone. Now, I've got convinced in my mind that I'm going to get a free day ski out of this eventually. I say, I'm going to go up, tell my wife that I'm going to run down the mountain, get these things fixed. He's going to pay for my pass, and I'm going to come back up and get another pass, or at least ski the rest of the day. I walk over to the mountain, and I'm waiting for my wife to come down the mountain. And I'm standing there anticipating her arrival, and I see up at the top a figure walking. And that's my wife walking down this mountain. And I say, well, in my mind, she's at least walking, which means she's not hurt too bad, hopefully. And as she gets closer, no, she's not hurt at all. In fact, she's quite mad looking. And as I look really closer, she is carrying with her skis, but only 1.5 skis. She comes down to me and presents to me 1.5 skis, and I put them in my hand, and I said, what happened? And about this time, this little 13-year-old girl skis up next to us, and my wife says, that little girl right there ran right across the tips of my skis and snapped my ski right off in half. Well, now, I am really mad. This poor little 13-year-old girl, I walk over to her, and I take her nose to nose, and I say, what's your name? She gives it to me. Where do you live? She gives it to me. What does your father do? Is he rich? Does he have insurance? I'm going to sue! He'd better be prepared. I want a new pair of skis. And the tears are just flowing out of this 13-year-old girl. And my wife is embarrassed, and I'm just making a fool of myself out there in the mountain. We get back into that car. And now I have to invest in another pair of skis for my wife. Anyway, I now have got another $100 that I've bought another pair of skis. We still haven't skied yet. Okay. I get my bindings fixed over so. We go back to Alta, and you're right, Jim. You know where my gloves were? Well, I bought a new pair of gloves at No Better also. Okay. The gloves were in the snowcat, and they put it in the lost and found, and so there's where my gloves were. And so I could have had that good day experience if I'd have been just a little bit smarter and wiser. I was this Saint. It was what's his name from down here? Hal Yates. Do you know the Yates?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Hal Yates, another he was a divorcee from our home ward there in Downey, had also gone up to Salt Lake the same period, and we were going to ski together. He calls, and so the next day I'm to ski with him back at Alpha, and that's where we find our gloves. But anyway, Hal and I decided we're going to meet in Salt Lake City and ride up together. So I get out of my car and put everything in his car, and up the mountain we go. And I'm telling these stories, and we're just hooting and hollering up there up this mountain. He's got his kids with him, and we're just having a great time. We get up there, we get up to Alta, and the stories are all over. Get the skis out. Everybody's ready to go to the lodge to get their pass. I don't have my parka, and I left my parka down in my car down in the valley. We have to turn around and go back down to get my parka before we ski. But then we ended up finding my gloves that day. So I've had some experiences.
Tell about the one with you and Russell coming down the bowl.
Oh yeah, you forgot that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
That's the best one of all.
Oh, Russell, that's right. We decided to, that's right. But the fourth day, was it the same time? I can't remember now. Anyway, Russell, Judy's brother and I do a lot of skiing together during these years, and we have something in common in that we just kind of at this stage of our progress are just equal, and we're just one is as foolish as the other. So we're up there skiing at Temp Haven. Well, before I get into that story, I want to describe Temp Haven to you just a little bit, because you can appreciate it. We've talked about some of the Como lifts, you know, and the T-bars and all this stuff that they had up there. But I didn't define to you the main chair that they had. The main chair comprised of wooden posts to support the pulleys. I think it was a rope. No, it was a cable. But anyway, a single little chair that was about this wide that you sat in, and just a single bar that came down from this pulley. I mean, from this continuous. I guess it would be a chain, wouldn't it? Cable. And you sat there all along this little thing. And when you went in between the post, you went up, and then you come down and touch the snow, and then you go up over the pulley, come down and touch the snow. And as each time you came down, and when the snow was really high, you'd come down and you kind of play with the snow a little bit with your skis. I found out that it was very easy to fall out of a chair doing that, because I came down once and caught, playing with the snow, I caught the tips of my ski and I went out of the chair, sprawled eagle like this, in about 3 feet of snow, and I couldn't move. Absolutely couldn't move. Skiers coming over the top of me saying, "What are you doing down there, Dennis?" And I couldn't find. How do you tell them? How do you say, "I fell out of the chair"? But I had that experience. Russell and I went up this one time to Temp Haven, and there's a midway point in which you can say, it says, advanced skiers, only advanced skiers allowed beyond this point. And intermediate and beginner skiers can get off at midway. And we kept going to this little point and getting off, and Russell and I finally said, "Oh, why don't we go try that?" Have you ever been up there, Ross? No, he said, "I've never been up there. I don't, but I've been told not to go up there." "Ah, we can handle it. Let's go." So we passed that midway, and we're committed now, okay? And up to the top we go, and they call this thing the chute. And that's the best description that I can give of it, that is exactly what it is. It's a chute. It has a configuration like this, and I have in my mind the impression that it's straight down. I can remember that when I was trying to traverse it with my skis, in order to stay on this hill was something like this. Okay, that's the angle that I was at, just to be able to stand on the ledge of that hill. And I said to Russ, we shouldn't have come up here. Well, we're here, let's go. So I said, all right, I'll go first. Now, the thing I didn't like about it is that, you know, in steep hills, if at least it's wide enough, you can go across, stop, come back, stop, and get down that mountain. But because of the configuration of this thing, it was like this, like in a bowl shape, you couldn't do that. And the moguls were just awesome. So I, going across, and I knew, you know how you psych yourself out? You just know that you can't handle it. You just know that there's no way that you can make this turn. But I was committed, and so I started to make this first turn, and sure enough, I am falling. But I fall head first, and I start to fall and fall and fall and fall and fall and fall. I'm sliding down the mountain like a toboggan. My skis are behind me, and my arms are out in front of me like this, and my nose is in the snow. I'm going over these moguls, and I come at a resting point on this mogul like this, and I just feel myself, if I make the slightest move, I'm going the rest of the way down on my stomach. And I'm lying here like this, and I'm saying, my gloves, my hat, everything's strewn back behind me, and I'm saying, Russ, help! And I dare not move. I dare not move. And Russell says something, I'm coming. And I hear this, and I can hear him coming. And then I hear, whoa, whoa. And he lands right on top of me, wham, head first also. And his mouth is in my ear, just hooting and hollering, having a great time as he rides me down the rest of this mountain. And I go all the way down to the bottom of that mountain, and I'm spitting snow out of my mouth, you know. And I'm just a snowball, and I'm just covered from top to bottom with snow. And Russell is just laughing. He's just having the greatest time. He rode me all the way down to the bottom of that mountain.
Well, did you ever get your hat and gloves? How'd you get
was
those?
that hard? Oh.
You had to go
We
back.
hollered at people back up there saying, please throw that hat down! Please bring that pole down! Whatever else is up there, bring it! There weren't too many on the hill, though, unfortunately. Oh.
You just go up and get them yourself.
Oh, that was I've never been back to the shoes.
I've been to that.
I like shoes.
Is that still there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, it
Is
depends
it as
on-
bad as I mentally
Yeah.
still feel it is?
Yeah.
That was years and years ago.
Well, there's a whole bunch of them. There's the biggest shoots on the right-hand side.
Oh, they've got a bigger chute?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, what else happened there?
Well, Dennis, tell the one about the lady throwing up. I mean, that's
You
got to
told
go.
that. You already told that. You
But it
missed that.
wasn't on tape.
Well,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, these kids didn't hear.
Darren's probably sitting
Just
there
made it.
out in the snow.
This was the little kids, Chris.
Well, what?
Don't worry.
This was the kids over at camp.
It's just Allison and Tiffany.
I know.
Dennis, the funny thing
They'll
about
be
that
okay,
is,
Dad.
Noel Tanner grew up in the
Well,
town that I
did he
grew up
really?
in.
You're kidding.
Anyways,
Duck.
what's
Oh,
his
he was
name?
weird.
Quinn
Very,
is over
very
there.
weird. He left that ski shop and went into uranium. Became a very, very wealthy man. And he still is very wealthy, except that he forgot to pay his income taxes.
You know, I still have those pair of skis in my home. I only skied on them that one time, and it was such a terrible experience. I mean, can you imagine skiing on those pair of skis that long?
When
and
you
awesome?
said that-
All of a sudden, Jeff's got a pair of 201.
How come it's so quiet in here?
They're just so long and so big.
Well,
and
the minute
awesome.
you said that he sold those to you, I thought, something's going to happen. It happened every time he was
I
around.
used that one time that one day that I skied with him, and that was it. I've never skied with those skis.
You?
So I, no, I do have the skis, don't I?
She doesn't have
The boots I don't have. The boots no, I gave those skis to Doug Sargent. So I've stepped out, I've thrown my boots away in the middle of of the run, Karma. I've fallen out of a chairlift. Okay. I know what it's like to scamper the mountains on one ski at Squaw Valley and many other runs around here. So I've experienced one.
Do there any recent ones?
Well, other
They
than
quit?
one,
Can I use
other
your
than the
ski?
people throwing up on me, and the lady, this is the
Daddy's
girl
over
Davis
here.
getting out of the chair when I was taking her out.
He's right there.
I think there's been some, has there been some recent?
There's one that I'm forgetting. I don't know what it is. There's one that
Making him down and ski down the mountain with a broken leg. That's a good one. Of course, I was just mad. I was making Laura ski down the mountain with a broken leg.
Oh yes, I have to tell you that one. Where's Dallin? Is he here?
Give you first
Yeah.
hand report.
I had taken Devin up in the morning to ski with him, and we had a nice ski experience. And both Devin and Dallin were just beginner skiers at this stage. And I rushed back down to get Dallin, and I forgot to get his skis that had his bindings set for his weight. And as I'm going up the mountain, I'm saying to myself, you know, when it dawned on me that I'd forgotten it, no, look this. Off we go. We get up there, and I send down the hill the very first one. I said, you can handle it, down, take off. He goes down, he falls over, and I watch him fall over. I ski up to him, and I say, how are you? He said, my ankle hurts. My leg hurts. Well, what's wrong? And, oh, it hurts. He's crying. You know, you're not knowing whether or not it's, well, is it just the fear of the fall or anything? Ah, come on, strap him on. And he gets back on his ski. Oh, it hurts, Dad, it hurts. So I skied with him between my legs down the hill, and every little bump goes, oh, 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 oh. And he had a broken leg. His mother wasn't too happy with me on that day. When I came home and said, well, when we came home, and Dallin walks in the house with a cast on his leg, her precious little Dallin, she came to pieces.
Didn't Laura break her leg?
Okay, right over here.
Right here in this round.
Right here on this, just run a very simple
Didn't
little
Laura break
spot.
her leg right up here?
Yeah.
You're up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the chair. I was going on the chairlift just because of that.
Peace, bro.
She had a very easy fall too, but she went up, instead of coming down the packed part from the back, around the back of the mountain there, there's a, right where it starts to get steep a little bit to come down the front part, there's a little part that goes up like that. And that had been drug wrecked, it was all powder. And this looked steep to her. But she didn't want to come down this way. I said, Laura, but don't go up there, you'll get stuck in that powder. You can't come up, you can't go up that way. And it'll be steeper when you get up on that point, then you have to come down this way. Well, she didn't. She chose to do what looked easier from that particular vantage point. So she got up there in that powder, and powder, it was about this deep. And she just, her body kept going, but the skis stopped. And she had the same experience. She had rental skis that the bindings were not set right. And her feet, she went, the skis stayed there, and her feet and everything stayed right there. Didn't come out, and I couldn't see what she was under. And she says, I can't get out, I'm stuck, I can't get out. And I'm pulling on her to get out, and I can't get her out. I said, just pull them out this way and get your skis up there, and I'll, you know, and grab hold of the pole, and I'll pull you out. I can't, I'm hurt, and I'm not going, and I can't. And I was so mad because she had done something that I had advised her not to do to begin with, and now she's going to be a baby and be stuck in this powder. And so finally somebody comes along and sees that, you know, after 15 minutes we've had this struggle, and they go and get the ski patrol. So the ski patrol comes up and digs her out and gets her out, and she isn't really crying hard, she's just kind of whining. And put her on their little toboggan and take her down to the first aid station and examine her, and this is Saturday. This is but we we are leaving Saturday night because we need to get back for Sunday because we're here with a whole group of church people and priesthood, young priesthood kids. And so this is our last run before we're packing it up to leave. And she says, I think I'm all right. He says, and the first aid guy down there, the ski patrol, says, I don't think it's broken. I can't feel anything, and she doesn't seem to be in real bad pain. But I would advise you to stop at Cedar City and have her x-rayed. Well, we didn't have time to do that, and she lays down in the back of the car. And we go all the way home, all night long. You know, we get home sometime in the middle of the night. Well, we get her into bed, and Sunday morning, she is in agony. She can't even move. She's just in agony. So Dennis carries her out to the car and goes to church, and I take her over to the emergency and get her a wheelchair and take her in and have her x-rayed. And the x-ray technician holds the x-ray right up for me, and I just see this little spiral crack going right, it just goes right around like that. And right then, she cried because she could see it too, and she didn't want to have a broken leg, but boy, did I go into it for tries, you know, I'll pull you out of there and then get up and get down this mountain. I'm sick and I'm tired of this. So we had 2 broken legs out of 5 children so far, and 2 adults. Not too good of odds.
Darren's just gonna break his neck.
If Darren ever breaks anything, it won't just be a leg. That's what
Look at his
Darren's
neck.
But Laura is back up on those skis like a pro. So proud of her and Dallin Moe.
Down.
She's too busy getting knocked over by people.
Here.
Well, sounds like you had some real adventures.
I'd like to see that Squaw Valley in a replay. That's choice.
Well, there, you better put your boots on over there, you know.